Listen, once in a while, I like to go ahead and keep my eye out on the national airwaves here in real estate and go ahead and search what are the top 5, top 10 cities that we should consider investing in the next year or so, right?
Is this specifically real estate?
Specifically real estate. All right.
Got it.
And we're going to pull from Rocket Mortgage. They do not sponsor the show. However, if they would like to sponsor the show, they can always contact us and Hembo will be sure to respond and get back to them. Until then, right, top 5 cities. And I'm going to give you 5. But the thing is, the most important piece there, I'm going to save for last. I'll save for last. Number 5, Wichita, Kansas. Number 4, Cleveland, Ohio. Coming in at number 3, I was a little surprised by this. I was just here, Indianapolis, Indiana. Number 2, Toledo, Ohio. And number 1, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Now, what is your reaction there? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What would you change? And why do you think they placed them in this order?
I have not been to any of those cities personally. I don't think I've never been to Indiana. I've crossed Ohio, but I've never stayed in any of those cities. Kansas, was in Kansas, but not Wichita. Yeah. So never been to any of those cities. However, all of this makes perfect sense, especially the Ohio, Indiana. My thesis has always been, not always, but probably over the past 3 or 4 years since the pandemic, my thesis has been people are going to start to shift to the Midwest because there's more open land, there's more room to grow. Right. Again, land's cheaper, things like that. So I felt like there's going to be this migration to the Midwest. So Ohio, Indiana, for us East Coast people, it's like a close shift. It's like, hey, I don't want to go all the way to Missouri. I don't want to go all the way over to Nebraska. So I'll just start with this Ohio, Indiana side, but it's going to keep creeping over. So I think the reason why that makes sense for people that are listening, the reason why that makes sense is because more people are now thinking about how to get out of metropolitan cities. And especially on the East Coast, they don't want to go too far in the Midwest. They don't want to switch all the way to something, but they're going to start saying, hey, let's just inch our way over a little bit. And so obviously when we have up and coming cities, it's a good place to invest, right? Because the boom's not there yet, but I have a feeling this is where things are going. I've been saying this for a few years, so this all makes perfect sense to me.
OG, you have been saying this for a few years now, and I think you have a point. However, I think there's another way to also look at the situation here. Besides that, people are fleeing, if you will. In a way, they are kind of fleeing, right? So one way to look at it is, the coastal cities are becoming less and less attractive for entrepreneurs and businesses. So as a result, they're heading inland and the people are following the economic opportunity. These places are making themselves, like I mentioned, I was just in Indianapolis, they're making themselves very attractive for entrepreneurs and investors and business folks to bring jobs. And of course, jobs bring people. So I think that's really what we're looking at here. And also, quite frankly, I think people, to your point, are looking for more space after, these last few years here being closed up and people finally realizing, or not finally, but a lot of people realizing that, hey, maybe I don't want to be in the city, right? And due to my remote or hybrid work situation, I don't have to be in the city and I can actually get more bang for my buck outside of the city while still, maintaining that employment or whatever from anywhere in the country, including these places. So that's what we're looking at here. However, the most important thing to note about this list is that the most attractive city on this list actually is number 6. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Detroit, Michigan.
There we go.
Gotta give people what they want. I'm trying to tell y'all, man, Detroit, home values in Detroit have increased 122% in the last 5 years.
Let's go.
Detroit is ranked top 5 places to live in Michigan. and some of their neighborhoods ranked on a national scale. Listen, guys, I'm trying to tell you here, Detroit.
That's all we got to say. Detroit's where
What
to come.
up, though?
Listen, it's again push into that Midwest. I don't. What is Detroit tech? Is it Midwest? Would you say?
Yeah, I think so. Not too, Michigan. I would say Midwest, Northern Midwest.
Northern Midwest, I guess. I don't know, but again, moving a little bit, like you said, away from the coastal, getting away from the regions that typically have been overpopulated. And at the end of the day, like you said, they're making cities entrepreneur friendly, right? So people are heading over there, and opportunities are heading that way. So this makes sense. This list makes sense. Got to start looking at I'm in Pennsylvania, so Ohio's my neighbor. Technically, it's right next door. Might have to check out what's going on over there, see if there's some opportunity.
Yeah, hit up Dave Chappelle while you're at it.
Listen, he's building like a club in the city of Ohio, somewhere in Ohio, right? He's building like a full on, like people can come do stand up there.
Oh, well, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, like because like what he did in the pandemic, when he was inviting all these people to Ohio, like I think he's building that out specifically. I think.
Wow.
But either way, let's get over to Ohio. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Good Life. We hope you found our discussion helpful and inspiring.
If you enjoy this episode, please take a moment to subscribe and like our channel. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an episode.
We want to hear from you, our listeners. If you have any feedback or suggestions for future episodes, please leave us a comment down below.
If you're listening to the podcast audio version, we appreciate you just as much. Thank you for tuning into the Good Life Show. And be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss an episode.
We believe that everyone has the potential to live their best life, and we hope our show helps you get that one step closer to achieving your goal.
If you know someone who would benefit from our show, please share it with them, and thank you for your continued support.
So again, that's it for another week's episode here on The Good Life. We'll see you next week for another inspiring conversation.